Hello, and welcome to special programming from the Hulbert Center for Southwest Studies at Colorado College. My name is Santiago Ivan Guerra, and I am the WMCEC Director of the Hulbert Center for Southwest Studies. First, I'd like to acknowledge the indigenous people and ancestors who lived and survived on the lands where Colorado College and the Hulbert Center is located, particularly the Apache, Arapaho, Comanche, Cheyenne, and the Ute, on whose unceded territories Colorado College was founded. And because today's programming is offered in consultation and collaboration with our friends and colleagues in northern New Mexico, we'd also like to acknowledge and send a special greeting to the Pueblo people and to the Navajo Nation in our neighboring state of New Mexico. So today, we're bringing to you a special event that coincides with this time of year in the Southwest. We're offering you a program on Los Pastores, a traditional folk play that takes place throughout the Southwest in Hispano and Mexican descent communities. So first, we'll have a discussion by Dr. Catherine Cordova about the tradition of the Los Pastores folk play. After that, we'll have performance under the direction of Dr. Teresa Cordova by Grupo Sangre de Cristo of some of the selections from the play Los Pastores. After that, we'll be showing a documentary focused on some of the work of Grupo Sangre de Cristo and its late director, Arsenio Cordova. After that, we'll close with some musical performances, again, from the play.
Hello, my name is Dr. Catherine Cordova, and I am the publicist for the production Los Pastores. This 2020 production of the play, our 39th year, presents a virtual presentation, which you are now viewing due to the COVID-19 pandemic. We're trying to keep the performers safe as well as you, our audience. To quote Director Teresa Cordova, PhD, we are not giving up. We're adapting to the times to honor our traditions. The cast consists of residents of all ages, from infancy, like the baby Jesus, to all ages, including adulthood. The members reside in the Taos area, the Espanola area, and during some years, Chama, Colorado, Seattle, Washington, and Juarez, Mexico. Los Pastores remains a Christmas gift to all the communities in which it is performed, so audiences experience the production free of charge. It does cost money to do these things, especially for gas and the creation of new costumes, but we've been very fortunate that people are generous and they give donations, and that's what we use the donations for. The churches house Los Pastores, and rightfully so, because it is representative of religion. And oftentimes parish members will provide a feast for the cast and the community members who attend. And that's always so nice, because then you get to visit with everybody. This wonderful sharing occurs statewide, in other states, and even sometimes transnationally. The localities where we perform vary from year to year, depending on requests and demand. Sometimes the schedule's booked so heavily that the director has to say, no, I'm sorry, we can't do this. But you know what? We'll put you on our schedule for next year, because she's not going to miss out on that opportunity. She does not like to say no. And anytime somebody comes up and says, I'd like to be a cast member, all right, you're now a cast member, and we just place them in a role. Sometimes a person may perform in the same role for many years, but I just want to share something that I find so joyful. When they're having the first rehearsal, everybody shows up, and if there is a role for advancement, everybody waits to see who's going to get that role. And I'm a retired teacher, so I remember promotion day. All the kids wanted to know if they were getting promoted to the next grade. And so that's the cast's promotion day. Sometimes a person wants to remain in their same role, and that's fine as well. But this remains the occasion when most of the youngsters just enjoy where they're going to be, or whatever, and it's kind of the fruits of their labor. Throughout practices, travel, and performances, the cast forms a bond, and it just continues even throughout the year. They'll see each other at school, and it's wonderful. Everyone helps each other with their lines and in planning the transportation. We can't put the whole cast in one car, so we have to share. On the stage, the shepherds will exhibit this camaraderie because they are supposed to be friends and travel together and stuff. But in reality, you know how they say art imitates reality. That happens on the stage as well. At the end of the season, you'll hear comments like, I want to do this again next year, or I want to stay in the same role. But the big one is, I want to advance to a larger role. And the director always listens and then knows who wants to do what. And that's very helpful as well. Cast members usually remain with Los Pastores for many, many years. Once in a while, we have to change because somebody's going to college and they're moving, or, that kind of thing. But we've been blessed to stay with many of the same performers. Whatever their feelings, the idea of belonging and tradition remains alive and well. My late husband, Arsenio Cordova, directed Los Pastores for 37 years, eventually promoting our daughter, Dr. Teresa Cordova, we call her Tessa also, as co-director. At first, she worked with the youngsters and the music, and I think that's where her heart really was. The alabado for the opening is an ancient chant as part of the practices of the Hermandad. And then we had other musical songs that Arsenio composed, such as Bienvenido Pastores, and that's Mary and Joseph's Welcome to the Shepherds, and A la Ruth Chiquito, the cast's lullaby to the baby Jesus. A la Ruth Chiquito has an interesting past, because Mary Kay Blickender, the music teacher at the elementary school, asked Arsenio to compose a song for their Christmas pageant. And so he wrote that song in the 80s, and it has continued till today. His music is published with Oregon Catholic Press. So some people that are interested may even go to some of the books of the press and find his music. We also have El Rey de Belén, which we're not going to show this year, but some years we do. And Father George Salazar, who is currently assigned to Immaculate Conception Parish in Las Vegas, New Mexico, was our beloved pastor. And so he wrote that song then. And so it means a lot to us. Now, before and during Tessa's father's illness, or my husband's illness, she assumed more responsibility with the cast. The night before his death, he told her to keep the choir, Our Lady of Guadalupe and Taos, and Los Pastores alive and well. He gave her a huge job, but she said, I am going to honor Dad's will. He thought so highly of the cast and their sacrifices of time and energy that when he was planning his funeral, he had a role for Los Pastores. And so they were all part of his funerary rites. And so we're just real pleased about that. During these changing times, we do not change. We don't give up. We just change it a little different way. Like the pastores who won't give up their search for the baby Jesus, despite trials and tribulations, people you see here on the screen today continue their own personal journey, especially for you. Thank you for joining this virtual presentation. We hope you'll enjoy. Merry Christmas and happy birthday, baby Jesus. Let us now join the Los Pastores presentation.
Un diciembre helado se mira venir. Un diciembre helado se mira venir. Tendrá menos flores la rosa de abril. Tendrá menos flores la rosa de abril. Sobre el horizonte la sombra camina. Sobre el horizonte la sombra camina. La paz saludamos de la Palestina. La paz saludamos de la Palestina.
A la madrugada nació el niño Dios, y al amanecer dio la luz el sol. La Madre de Dios, hermosa y alegre, le faja las manos y lo echó al pesebre. A la madrugada nació el niño Dios, y al amanecer dio la luz del sol. El esposo santo se le retiraba, volviéndose alegre, se le arrodillaba. A la madrugada nació el niño Dios, y al amanecer dio la luz el sol. Cándida Azucena, olivo frondoso, clavel salpicado de su bello rostro. A la madrugada nació el niño Dios, y al amanecer dio la luz el sol. La dicha más grande que el mundo ha tenido, los pastores santos a Belén han ido. A la madrugada nació el niño Dios, y al amanecer dio la luz el sol. La estrella los guía por todo el camino. Al llegar alegres al recién nacido. A la madrugada
a los pastores va guiando para el portal de Belén. Venid pastores sencillos con sus crecidos anhelos a ver al recién nacido entre la escarcha y el hielo, a ver al recién nacido entre la escarcha y el hielo, el que con finos amores y sencillo corazón vertió la sangre en la cruz por humana redención, vertió la sangre en la cruz por humana redención. Hermanos pastores, hermanos queridos, vamos caminando por nuestros caminos, vamos caminando por nuestros caminos. Poco a poco, arando el ganado, no se desanimen, ya vamos llegando, no se desanimen, ya vamos llegando. Que por esos montes, que por esos riscos, que por esa sierra, una luz diviso, que por esa sierra, una luz diviso. Camina agilita, que vendrás cansada al pie de esa sierra. Haremos bajadas al pie de esa sierra. Haremos bajadas. Muy encarnizado, luego algún destrozo en nuestros ganados, luego algún destrozo en nuestros ganados.
Y los corderitos que atrás han quedado, échalos al hombro mientras que llegamos, échales al hombro mientras que llegamos.
Y los más chiquitos que atrás se han quedado, váyanlos alzando y hallando el ganado, váyanlos alzando y hallando el ganado.
Pie de esa sierra, haré
This program is a presentation of the National Latino Communications Center.
When the first winter snows decorate the majestic peaks of the Sangre de Cristo mountains, the small towns and villages of New Mexico undergo a magical transformation. In this area of the upper Rio Grande Valley, faith is in the air like pinion smoke. Here, in this remote land of magic and miracles, three distinct cultures, Indian, Hispanic, and Anglo, have put generations of conflict behind them and melded in a spiritual bond that reaches its finest hour in the celebration of Christmas. For as long as anyone can remember, it is the time for grandfathers to build luminarias, the bonfires that symbolically light the way for the Christ child. And for families to make paper bag and candle lanterns known as farolitos. On the night before Christmas, there is always a posada, a procession in which Mary and Joseph search for shelter to await the birth of baby Jesus. As always, the posada ends in song.
No me importa el nombre, déjenme dormir, porque si me empanan, los voy a pelear.
Throughout the upper Rio Grande Valley, luminarias burn in the darkness, a signal that here you will find warmth and shelter. Many years ago, there was another popular Christmas tradition, the performance of an ancient morality play, Los Pastores. The play, which followed the shepherd's journey to see the Christ child, was brought to the Southwest in the 17th century by Catholic missionaries as a way to teach their religion to the native people.
As I was growing up, the religious aspects of my upbringing were pretty much Americanized, pretty much standard Catholic, I suppose. Outside of the luminarias, but there was this whole oral tradition that was expressed to me by my grandmother, my great-grandmother, of how things were in the old days.
Early evidence of Los Pastores lives on in books and letters and in a handful of aging photographs.
In 1905, I accompanied a friend to one of these performances. We climbed a little hill where I was surprised to see many lanterns lighting the way. I was told that they were lit every night so that if our Lord should come seeking shelter, that he might be shown the way. The performance took place in the open with a large bonfire in the center, the audience on one side and the performers on the other.
On Christmas Eve, 1899, we saw Los Pastores at San Rafael, a New Mexican village 100 miles west of Albuquerque. There was no resident priest, so the people were obliged to get up the play themselves, without the advice or instruction of anyone in authority. The drama was freely interpreted by the players, who added original songs, dialogue, and local references. It was most charming.
In fact, I remember Mother talking about the pastores not having a certain setting where they would do the pastores, but they would go from home to home and do portions of the pastores, actually in the living room of the homes, so that the people would enjoy them. So you see, actually, I think it was a type of entertainment for them, a type of staying together as a community.
The plays went in and out of favor for over 300 years, but by the 1920s, they had virtually disappeared. Then, in 1981, two scholars from Taos, New Mexico, Arsenio Cordova and Larry Torres, concerned about their rapidly disappearing cultural heritage, decided to restore some of the old, almost forgotten celebrations of their ancestors, including Los Pastores.
Wait a minute, hold it. When we get to the third verse, let's get the musicians coming up.
It's so nice to have young people interested in it. I think that it plays a big role in what happens in a community. If somebody takes the interest of the historical aspect of the community and finds out and tries to create an appreciation for culture and tradition.
I want you standing all the time. Let's see, right here, lean against.
From old manuscripts and fading memories, they pieced together the almost forgotten songs and speeches.
We think we know all the lines, and Lucifer and Bartolo think they know all the lines, and all of a sudden people that are talking to us are telling us about different lines. Like, for example, my uncle gave Larry and I a line on Lucifer, which was mando el sol, mando la luna, mando ese cielo estrellado, y el sol se verá clisado solo con que yo le mande. And Larry looked at me, I looked at Larry, we hadn't heard that line.
It just floored us. It just floored us.
Just, where'd you get it? Where'd you get that?
Yeah. He said that was a standard line.
Yo fui pastor primeramente en 1909, luego en 1910 y en 1911.
¿Qué edad tenía usted entonces?
Tenía como 9 años, más o menos.
Sí. ¿No puede cantarnos unos versos de alguna de la letra que cantaban como...
Bueno, sí, el comienzo donde comenzábamos, cantábamos. No soy muy buen cantador, pero puedo
está bien
cantar. Primero comenzábamos, hermanos pastores, hermanos queridos, no se desanimen. Vete tú por aquí, yo me voy por aquí, por aquel latito.
Que se vaya por aquí.
Many of the young performers no longer spoke Spanish and had to be taught their lines phonetically.
Bartolo.
And then you say, y nuestro hermano.
Y nuestro hermano Bartolo, ¿por qué no viene a cenar? Por flor y besa con mi vino.
Okay, the devil falls here. Okay, see.
Eres un gran Dios, nacido en
It seems that for the longest while, these dramas had ceased. And then we were wondering what happened to all of them, because it seems that they were, when you look at the manuscripts that we have on file, either in our files or at the Museum of International Folk Art, the latest ones that we seem to find date to the 1920s. And then you wonder what happened between the 1920s and the 1980s before the revival or the Renaissance comes in all these. And then you realize, look at what's happening in the scope of world affairs. World War I comes, takes all of our men. World War II does exactly the same thing. Korean War, Vietnam War. It isn't until the Vietnam conflict gets resolved that people start coming home and looking again for places that were familiar to them, if not in their own lifetimes, at least things that their parents or grandparents told them, no? And so finally, after all of these interruptions on a global scale, we can come back to the local scale and do the things that we used to do years back.
Help us to appreciate our culture, our traditions, and our religion. Make us grow in love, make us grow in faith. Amen.
Amen.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the
2 weeks before Christmas, Arsenio Cordova and Larry Torres take their troupe of actors and musicians to perform in the nearby villages of the Sangre de Cristo mountains.
We're going to start the posadas at 5 o'clock and start the program at 6:30 with a music program. At around approximately 7:30, there will be a break, and we will get into the pastores costumes. We're going to start the music part by having the marcha. So initially, the only ones that will be up front on the stage will be the musicians and myself.
As night falls in the mountain town of Trampas, it is time to light the farolitos and luminarias at the San Jose de Gracias Church. Members of the congregation have been cooking all day in preparation for the feast that will follow. While backstage, the excited performers get into their costumes and makeup.
Let's see.
Holding it. Here. Oops. Okay, wait.
When Larry Torres takes on the role of Satan, he never fails to protect himself from the power of the devil by saying a prayer of safekeeping.
Hasta el fin de mi vida. Amén. Alzo los ojos al cielo. Yo me los llevo a todos con las borracheras para desvelar a todos los hombres mortales y amaré a todos los infiernos.
Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, la Compañía de la Santísima Trinidad and Sangre de Cristo liturgies presents to you, and then there were shepherds, to you, the children of Trampas and of New Mexico. We dedicate this presentation in the hopes that you will preserve your culture and your traditions, los pastores.
Maintaining our history, being aware of it, maintaining our culture, in a way expresses who we are, does describe us, does reinforce our own self-image.
Sí, sí. Entiendo cada uno ha de aprender su oficio. Gil, vete a la sierra a llenar, que esta noche ha de hacer frío. Limpiotivar, que se vaya por aquí.
It seemed like everybody in it had their own particular characteristic, and that characteristic was showing us some flaw in the human personality.
Yo no entro en esos juicios, porque no soy de la cuenta, porque vengo muy cansado y traigo mucha flojera.
So we have Bartolo, who personifies a Christian who is lazy and would rather eat and sleep and drink and be merry than to go adore the Christ child. And we have, of course, the rest of the pastores who are allowed to be led by their own human needs of wanting to rest.
¡Duérmanse! ¡Todos acuéstense! No me da de comer esta perversa mujer.
Descansen los pastores acostados. Quiero pasar poco a poco las cuentas de mi rosario. Hinco la rodilla en tierra
y puesto en cruz los brazos, digo así: Padre nuestro, líbranos de los que nos hacen daño. Uy, Padre nuestro, por encima.
¡Pero no por encima de mí!
¡Ay, infiernos! Mira qué tirano me has puesto en penas tan cruel. ¡Ay, mira qué tormentos hay al príncipe Lucifer! Yo, para desvelar a todos los hombres mortales, llamaré a todos los infiernos. ¿Dónde estás?
Originally, these morality plays were religious in tone and subject matter until they were taken up by the people, who injected them with humor and sexual innuendo. In the 1700s, Los Pastores was denounced as scandalous and banned by the church. But it was too late. It had already become folklore and would not die.
Exageramos los personajes en los dramas para que son más grandes que ordinariamente. De manera que si viene el diablo, por ejemplo, a tentar, el espíritu malo viene a tentar al ermitaño, le va a decir:
Ermitaño, yo soy tu mejor amigo, que viéndote acongojado, he venido a socorrerte teniéndote aquí entre mis brazos.
A saber tu nombre, quisiera.
Te lo diré en cuanto sigas mis consejos. Vamos hablando. ¿Ves allá donde están aquellas montañas, donde están aquellos peñascos? Vamos hablando despacio.
¿Para qué tenemos que ir tan lejos? ¿Qué no ves que tanto está nevando? ¿Por qué no aquí junto a la calorcita?
Aquí están tus compañeros, nos oirán.
No, si tienen el sueño muy pesado.
Ermitaño, esta vida que aquí tienes tú no es para hombre.
Ay, no.
No, ¿de qué te sirven esa cruz, ese rosario? Esas mortificaciones, esas flagelaciones. Mira, hazte una vida feliz. ¿Ves dónde está la gila?
Era ahí.
Cásate con ella. Allá en Trampas.
¿Qué estamos aguardando?
Llévatela. Gila. Gila.
You know what I did like about one of the things we added now? We added the little diablito, which I think is kind of neat because it gives the devil a dimension of tenderness so that no matter how vile and slimy he is, he still cares about his little hijito.
No puedo desechar las penas.
¿Para qué lloras, Daddy?
Hijito de mi vida, que no sabes que ese Mesías que está prometido nacerá o habrá nacido o estará para nacer, sabiendo que cuando él venga, él dará fin a nuestro imperio. Necesitamos más almas. ¿A quién nos llevamos de aquí? Vamos a llevarnos a la Silvia. ¿Dónde está la Bárbara? ¡Bárbara! Nos vamos al infierno. Vamos a llevarnos a Gilbert Martinez, de Córdoba, sí. Nos llevamos a Chris López. ¿Dónde está? ¡Ay, pero por qué hago tanto! ¿Cómo aguanto tanto? ¡Tanto desprecio! ¿Pero qué es eso? ¿Qué es eso que se oye? Por las altas regiones. Coros de ángeles. Va a venir mi mayor enemigo. San Miguel Arcángel, yo lo siento. ¿Dónde viene? Retírense, ángeles malvados. ¡Shoo! Váyanse al cielo. ¡Shoo! ¿Lo escuchas?
Leo dragón, que con solo tu mirar envenenas con tu hechizo. Vete de aquí, no vengas a perturbar a estos pastores.
¿Por qué San Miguel Arcángel manda a retirarme de este lugar? ¿Que no sabes que todo el reinado de Trampas me pertenece a mí?
Yo te mando, serpiente feo, que te vayas de aquí. En el nombre del Altísimo. Vete de aquí, no vengas a perturbar a estas almas.
Pero todas estas almas son mías, San Miguel Arcángel. ¿Que no sabes que yo me las llevo a todas? Yo me las voy a llevar a todas con los 7 pecados mortales. Y ahora quieres quitarme todo esto, San Miguel Arcángel. ¿Por qué mandas retirarte?
Víboro feo, una bestia de los cielos, porque me debutaste contra Dios Santo. Ahora te mando una vez más, destarte de aquí y no vengas a perturbar.
Es Miguel Arcángel, es verdad, San Miguel Arcángel, que una vez me echaste de los cielos por el pecado de Adán y Eva. Pero ya 2 veces no más de echar. Si quieres que me vaya, has de echarme. Vente, sin este nombrecito, vente. ¡El altísimo! ¡Ay! Desde el oriente al poniente, planetas de fuego ardiente, a correr a mis tormentos.
Levántanse, pastores, vean que ha nacido el Mesías, para adorar al niño que está en el portal.
The archangel comes in the nick of time to save everybody and to help them realize that they must not listen to the devil, that they must go and adore the Christ child.
Pobrecita cama que voy a dejar.
Tienes remedio, te has de levantar, adorar al niño que está en el portal.
Y la salean que duermo, ¿cómo la voy a dejar? ¡Qué niño tan hermoso! ¡Niño! Serás pastorcito según te estoy mirando. Te pido, niño, también, niño de alta esfera, que me quites esta flojera. Pues adiós, mi niño lindo, adiós, mi niño de oro. Y cuando en el cielo estés, no te olvides de Bartolo.
Bienvenidos, pastores, al portal de Belén. Bienvenidos, pastores, a adorar a su bien. Soy la Virgen María, la Madre de Jesús.
Para usted, ¿qué significan los pastores?
A mí quiere decir una cosa muy grande, que es una cosa que se acuerda de, están celebrando el nacimiento de Jesucristo. Es como una oración para mí es oración.
Al portal de Belén, bienvenidos pastores, a adorar a su bien.
They can never come to Trampas without having a little fiesta. Father Gonzalez, thank you very much for a beautiful, sermon, a beautiful mass. We offer this program as a prayer for your parish and for your people. Thank you. Father Gonzalez.
To all of you, Merry Christmas y que Dios los bendiga a todos.
Merry Christmas.
The end of the play signals the beginning of a traditional feast that will last into the late hours of the night.
My grandmother would always tell me, la cultura de español es una cosa muy preciosa. No te la olvides, porque cuando el día que lo olvides, mueres.
That's why we're handing it over to you, Johnny, so that you won't let it die.
Eres pastorcito.
The spirit which once made all Christian Europe delight in the miracle play is extinct in our own race. But for that very reason, it is more interesting to find it still lingering on the outskirts of our continent, among the descendants of the people who sped the Santa Maria on her westward track. But even there the tradition may fade away, and we are sincerely grateful to the collectors who rescued these fragments of the past before the modern spirit could sweep them away in the name of progress.
To own a video cassette of Los Pastores, The Shepherd's Play, call 1-800-722-9982 or send $24.95 to NLCC Educational Media, P.O. Box 39A60, Los Angeles, California 90039. For institutional orders, ask for special pricing and ordering instructions. Call now 1-800-722-9982. That's 1-800-722-9982.
Bienvenidos pastores al corral de Belén. Bienvenidos pastores a adorar a su bien. Bienvenidos pastores al corral de Belén.
anda gila sin tardanza y ponle la camisita. Voluntaria amor me sobran para arrollar su cunita. Duérmete, niño chiquito, duérmete, mi redentor. Mis padres fueron la causa que estás temblando de frío. Duérmete, niño chiquito, duérmete, mi redentor. Duérmete, tierno güerito, hasta verte, tata Dios.
Duérmete, niño lindo, en los brazos del amor, mientras te arrulla tu madre, cantándote Alaru, alame, alaru, alame, alaru, alaru, alame. No te vas a Herodes, que nada te ha de hacer. En los brazos de tu madre, nadie te ha de ofender. Alaru, alame, alaru, alame, alaru, alaru, alame, alaru, alame, alaru, alame,
Yo soy Juanita Maloff Domínguez. Soy de Chama, Colorado.
Okay.
Hi, Juanita. I'm here. Happy with Juanita, Dia de la Virgen. And Juanita and I have been part of the Pastorela for many, many years. So we want her to reflect upon a few Pastorela memories. So maybe you can start with your name, what your home community is, and if you can remember how long you've been with Pastores, with Grupo Sangre de Cristo.
Okay. I'll try to get as much in as correctly possible.
No problem.
Pastores came into my life about the time that I was born, I guess. My mother was very, very active in any of the church celebrations. And she was one of those people that was, if not completely committed to keeping the history of our part of the church alive. I can remember as a child, all of the celebrations, you know, the ones that they mentioned the church, but people mentioned the church, and that was it, right? December has meaning for so many people in different ways, but we're blessed in that not only do we celebrate one culture, but we celebrate two others. the culture of the church, culture of the families, and the culture of the community. And we really are, without question, a very blessed community in that respect. It handles all the facets of life in which we live. You know, the ponete bienes, the ones that are there to really celebrate the grace of the community as well as the church, and how they intermingle, not only because Dad said we should, or because if we don't get to do this, or we don't get to celebrate that. It was something we looked forward to as a what do I want to say? As a gift rather than an obligation.
Do you remember, Juanita, when you first started playing the devil, or do you want to tell any Diablita memories?
Oh, one of the things that was funny is that everybody said, well, what part do you want to play? And I immediately said, Diabla, Diabla. And your dad naturally said, well, you're typecast. Which wasn't very nice.
Maybe you could sing a little bit of En Belén Nació un Niño, maybe a cappella if you feel like it. Really
I
quick.
love that. I love that. I'd like to do it, sure.
Your composition.
If it comes out a little bit on the ronco side, don't blame me.
And this is a song that you wrote for the Pastorela. It's a lullaby to the baby Jesus. Could you give us the title again, Juanita?
En Belén nació un niño. Vamos todos a adorar a esa preciosa criatura que nos vino a salvar, a esa preciosa criatura que nos vino a salvar. Y ven cómo cantan los angelitos y las estrellas relumbran calor. Y salta mi pecho con alegría. Y tarararam, tarararam. I don't usually forget things, but that one blanked out completely.
No worries. That was beautiful. Bravo. Thank you, Juanita.
Yes, it's Christmas time, and yes, we'll celebrate with the regular celebrations, but no, we'll celebrate with history. We'll celebrate with what our parents, our grandparents, and the community that we've lived in and made it part of our lives. It's something that cannot be redone if it isn't kept alive. You can remember it, but you may remember the words, you may remember tunes, but the facet that goes along with the action is lost unless you keep it alive, on all sides. And thank God for the teatro who've been able to do that.
My name is William Eloy Cordova. I am from Taos, New Mexico, and I have been performing with Los Pastores for the last 30 years.
Bueno, yo llevo 2 años con los pastores. Mi nombre es Aurora. Yo soy de Taos y Seattle, pero nací en Seattle. Y yo tengo 6 años.
Hola, somos la familia Hernández Arceo. Somos de Ciudad Juárez, Chihuahua.
Hola, yo soy Vinicio Hernández Arceo.
Yo soy Araceli Arceo.
Soy Alfonso Hernández.
Y yo soy Jesús Hernández Arceo.
Hace 20 años participamos por primera vez y esta es la tercera ocasión que participamos otra vez con los pastores.
Hi, my name is Julie Marquez, and I'm from Española, New Mexico, and I've been with Pastores 26 years on and off. I took a leave for about 4 years, and then I came back. So about 22 active years, and this would have been my second year playing the devil, as I played different parts throughout the other years, but this would have been my second year playing the devil. So, hi, and hopefully we'll be back next year.
This is David Martinez. I'm from Chimayo, New Mexico, and I have been with Pastores for 25 years.
My name is Madeline Munoz. I live in Taos, New Mexico, and this is my 7th year being in Los Pastores.
Hi, my name is Juan Munoz. I'm from Taos, New Mexico, and this is my 6th year in Los Pastores.
Hi, my name is Renee Sanchez. I live in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I've been doing Pastores for 9 years now, and I am really happy that I could keep this tradition going.
Hi, my name is Alondra Velar. I'm from Taos, New Mexico, and I've been in Los Pastores for 9 years.
Hi, my name is Esmeralda Velar. I'm from Taos, New Mexico, and I've been in Los Pastores for 1 year.
My name is Frank Montoya. I've been with the Pastores for 18 years. I usually play Ermitaño. I've been playing that for a few years. I live in Alcalde, New Mexico, and I have really enjoyed being in the Pastores.
Mi nombre es Ofelia Montaño, soy de Taos y tengo 15 años en Los Pastores.
Hello, my name is Tessa Cordova. I'm from El Prado, New Mexico, and I have been with Los Pastores for 39 years. Fortunately, as a part of my herencia, I was able to inherit this beautiful Grupo Sangre de Cristo and help direct this pastorela this year. And from now on. So with the help of everybody, we do these co-directing, and we're just really happy to be with you all. And we hope you really enjoyed our virtual pastorela this year. It was kind of a hybrid of us the current cast, also looking back at the past, who was our director, Arsenio Cordova. I guess with our group, it will always be Arsenio Cordova presente. God bless you all, and we hope you have a beautiful Christmas season, and we hope that this at least brought you to a little bit more faith and happiness during this season. Thank you.